So how do you manage to operate when you're tired? The other day, I shared on my stories that my son had woken me up at 4:30 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, and I had a full day of operating, and shared that on my stories. And I think made people feel nervous that what would happen if your surgeon is operating on you tired?
Well, I think, not to sound like I'm trying to be a superhuman, we're all humans, but I think that when you're somebody who's done decades of nights, the way you handle fatigue is quite different to the general population, maybe. And so I think that we're often quite exhausted, but you just kick into this work mode and you don't really feel it in the same way. When you're operating, you have loads of adrenaline. You go into this focus. Yeah, you go into this zone. But I would say if I'm really tired, I would have a little bit of coffee, not too much though, because my hands really shake otherwise. So a little bit of coffee, plenty of water. Fatigue is often related to dehydration. And we are, even though we're standing still, we're using a lot of energy, burning a lot of calories. You need to be hydrated. Same with nutrition. Really good breakfast, plenty of snacks, good lunch. Talking to the rest of the team and saying, actually, I'm a bit tired. Maybe you can do this part of the operation today. There's not just one surgeon, and you can take a break if you need.
Absolutely. Especially you do a lot of long operations. So you need to take a break, and we get embarrassed to answer that.
Absolutely. So remembering that you are human and you're allowed to ask for breaks if you need.
I also think it is a part of ops and gynae as a profession. You need to accept even the working nights. Sometimes you're going to be tired. We have things that we have in place. Not all countries have that. We have that in the UK. We've got things like if you work lots of night shifts, you get a day off afterwards to recover. You're not expected usually to work the whole of the next day when you've been busy operating, for example. So that's good. But I don't know about you, but where I work, there have been a change recently where we've got issues with medical staffing. And I think, we hear it in the press, but you don't really hear the real life complication of that is that we sometimes have to cover, for example, if we're missing a registrar at night, you're doing two people's jobs. You have to cover more areas, and that can really exacerbate that feeling of fatigue, overwhelm, of stress. And I think that's where people can make mistakes. So one of the things I think is so important is that we start looking after our medical workforce better. We need rest areas. Do you have an office to go to if you want to rest on a night shift, for example?
I don't have to do nights.
Yeah, you don't. We don't have a decent office because all of our good rest spaces have been taken away. And I think that type of thing makes a big difference to morale and fatigue as well. So I hope that might change also in the future.
So feel free to share any tips with us. If you work night shifts, if you are someone who operates when you're tired, we'd love to know what you find helpful.